And welcome back. It's halftime of our first greatest game of the fall, the Husker 94 season opener against West Virginia. And we're going to chat each and every week at halftime with the president of the University of Nebraska, Ted Carter. Ted, great to have you with us. And, you know, you and I spoke several times during the spring, and you were coming up with some initiatives to help enrollment numbers. And I know you got some really good news about enrollment figures at the university this week. Can you recap some of this for us?
Well, thanks, Greg. Yes, we certainly have had a long journey since the height of COVID-19, and when we started making announcements in planning for our fall enrollment. This goes all the way back to, mid-April. So all those initiatives that we've talked about before, from Nebraska Promise to the tuition freeze to the online pricing for credit hours to the academic course calendar to even declaring that we'd be open, has in final numbers, as we just finished up the census for this fall, proven to be an increase in our overall student body across the system by well over 500 students. So about a 1% rise in total. And again, that sounds like a modest rise, but compared to what you're seeing happen at other campuses across the country, even some of our neighbors, particularly in Iowa, where they've seen a 9.5% decrease in student enrollment for freshmen, we've gone the other direction. So, and we've had a modest decline in our enrollment going back over the last 2 years. And in some of our programs up at Omaha, we've seen the largest enrollment since 1992. So this is a big deal. It's a big win. It's a delivery for the University of Nebraska to Nebraskans.
Well, congratulations to you and a lot of folks. That's a really high salute to what you were able to pull off. You mentioned COVID. It certainly created a different environment for schools all across the country. A lot of work to be done to prepare to welcome students back onto campuses. Can you tell us a little bit more about some of the people who helped the university get things ready to welcome your students back?
Well, there's no question that everybody at UNMC, from Chancellor Jeff Gold to Chris Cradaville, helping us with some of the work in the NCAA athletics in preparation for what that might look like in the future, but particularly on every campus, to our faculty senate leads, to our directors of student affairs, to our chancellors. Ronnie Green at UNL, obviously as our flagship, had some of the biggest tasks in doing the preparations to de-densify our campuses, make it ready for, at UNL, 25,500 students. You look across the system, 51,000, now closer to 52,000 with the new enrollment numbers. Getting those students here in person. Yes, we've had a few challenges. We've had a few COVID-19 positives. We've been able to manage that. But I'm very proud of the whole team for how they've made that preparation to manage student unions, feeding our students, everybody across the board, from faculty and staff. I would say that thus far we are in a big part of the win column.
Again, visiting with University of Nebraska President Ted Carter here at halftime of our greatest games, the Huskers and the West Virginia Mountaineers, to start the 94 season. You mentioned, talking about these enrollment numbers, about some successes that you've had, and it's not this way across the country, as you pointed out, and you're having to probably overcome a loss of some international students. My guess is those numbers are down, and so to make up for that, you probably have had a lot more maybe in-state and first-timers that are coming to college.
No, that's exactly right. We knew the international student numbers would be a decrease. In fact, we modeled for nearly a 50% loss in international students, especially incoming freshmen. I'm very pleased to report that UNL took about an 18% reduction, some of which was planned. For example, the international students from the country of Rwanda, that had been an ongoing program that ended planned. So that's, right there, that's 50 students that we knew weren't coming. So UNL saw a modest decrease of about 18%. Remember, our international students at UNL take up about 10% of the entire incoming student body. Across the system, we saw about a 15% decrease. So when you add all that up, and then take into account that the percent of Nebraskans attending our programs actually rose by 2%, that really took up that loss. And that's why we're up overall 1%. It's actually quite a good news story. And we'll not lose sight of our out-of-state students and our future international students. I think that still has some positivity to it. We're going to concentrate a little bit more on that going into the future. But for right now, I'm really pleased that Nebraskans are here on our campuses.
Well, it's a great success story. President, let's wrap up. You've spoken a lot over the last several months about putting students first and ensuring that education is affordable, accessible, and attainable. You've also talked frequently about Nebraska's urgent workforce needs. Can you share how the recent enrollment news at the university will impact those two areas and ultimately our state of Nebraska?
Well, there's no question that our plan to make accessibility, affordability for all has paid off. We've seen the percent of first-generation students, students that come from underrepresented minorities, those numbers have gone up significantly in many of our campuses, the highest we've ever seen. And we will have all of the mechanisms in place to make those students successful, as well as all of our students, and using programs like internships and finding pathways to get into the workforce. As I've said before, there's no doubt that agriculture is king here in Nebraska. It represents $1 in $4 made here. But if we grow the university and our students and their success, we'll have a chance to continue to grow the state of Nebraska.
Well, President, thank you so much for sharing that exciting news with us. We look forward to checking in with you each and every week.
Thank you, Greg.
President Ted Carter with us here at halftime. We're back with some first half highlights and some scores from around the current day of college football. That's coming up next.